So when I met Manny, I was like 10 or 11. I had on these really cool shoes. They were some gold shell toes. Adidas shell toes, and that was the first thing Mr. Manny said when he seen me when I got off the bus at the Air Force Museum. So we've been close ever since. We clicked ever since.
They used to pay for the young people to go to Kings Island, and she never wanted to go. My son never wanted to go. So when we started working together, I'm like, why ain't y'all never want to go to Kings Island? And they were just like, we just think it's boring. And then she would say, I would rather go to the Ohio State Fair. To this day, I still don't get it. I still don't get it.
The presence of one caring, attuned adult in a young person's life is a larger predictor of their long-term success than their early childhood adversity.
It positively affects them at home, at school.
How do I most effectively get my students to learn? And I do that when my students know that I care about them, that I'm invested in their success. That's the cue that opens up those neural pathways and helps us to build that intellective capacity more effectively.
Expansion begins to happen. Expansion of who I am as a person, what I can be.
I think the organizations that were the most effective, having close relationships was key.
It's finding something common and meeting people where they are.
I would define a high quality relationship, one that makes me feel safe. I feel seen, I feel heard, I can be vulnerable in that situation. I can present as my true, authentic self.
And what we also know is that one of the biggest signals of safety that our brain can get is the presence of a trusting relationship.
If they trust one person there, I think it changes everything about the way in which they interact with the organization.
There is a connection that begins to happen, both for that young person and the adult working with them, to be able to help establish what is possible.
For me, my mom passed at 13, my dad passed at 19. So all of my friends, parents mentored me, my school teachers mentored me, my coaches mentored me. And like I was that kid that people felt comfortable enough with to telling me to get off the street. Like they would stop their cars in Akron and see me and be like, get home, or get in my car right now and I'm taking you home, or you're not leaving my house. It was that kind of thing.
Relational safety is the signal that gives your brain the cue that, okay, I don't have to have all that cortisol rushing through my system. I can relax a little bit. And when we are able to do that, actually information gets from the brainstem to the cortex much more efficiently.
That shifts a trajectory for a young person that is life-changing in a very positive way.
We have a lot of data when it comes to reading outcomes, when it comes to social emotional learning observations from our staff, but we don't have a concrete way to communicate back to the funders how the students are experiencing the relationships.
Hey, this is how you as the leaders, the managers, how you're being experienced. A tool like that is what's missing.
What we currently provide our funders doesn't capture all the good and all that we're doing, doesn't capture the full picture.
You have multiple organizations who work in out-of-school time space, who work with a range of young people. And when we think about a common challenge that young people may be facing, particularly around relationships, relationship building, what does that look like? When you bring systemic data together, you're able to identify trends.
The people who really want to build strong relationships and really want young people to trust them, it can give some feedback as to how that's being received by the young people, what we might do really well as an organization, and what might be missing.
So as a funder of youth programs, we want to make sure that the work that we're doing across our youth programs, whether they're mentoring programs or career readiness programs, leadership programs, that they all have continual flow throughout them, and we're not in our own silos doing our own things.
When we think about collective impact, the idea of all of the people kind of moving in the same direction, right? Vectors going in the same way. We need a shared set of understanding to be able to do that.
The beauty of a tool that brings that language in is that everyone is on the same page of understanding and communicating what we're working towards. And quite honestly, to show multiple stakeholders that you can come together around shared language, around shared concepts, and still bring your individual expertise to your organization.
It may look different in an arts program than it does in a career readiness program, but we're aware of the need, first of all. We have a plan in place to address the need so that their need is being met by a variety of different people.
So when we think about research done about young people, if that research doesn't include them and it doesn't include their perspective, then we're missing a large piece of the puzzle. And we then, as a result, are going to build a set of interventions, we're going to make decisions that don't reflect the needs of the actual people that we're trying to support and serve.
I can remember a conversation probably several years ago when we were getting ready to launch our youth employment program. And we had a focus group with the youth. And one thing that really resonated with me that the youth said is they were like, stop creating things for me without me. If you want me to have an experience, invite me to the table. Let me be part of the design. Let me tell you how it's impacted me up front and firsthand. We as adults think we know the types of experiences that youth will benefit from, but we don't always know the right vehicle for delivering that.
Actually having something where we know how students are experiencing relationships gives us insight into maybe even challenges they have in building those relationships.
When you add in youth voice, we validate, we confirm, and we give authenticity to the experiences of young people that drives the work that we are doing so that both individual organizations can thrive and build better programming and systems, but as a collective of groups of organizations, we now begin to produce a model of what works.
I want to be the mentor that I had.